StopDUI has suffered a nearly $50,000 deficit. $50,000 because of what's occurring now in the courts. And I will tell you that New Beginnings has no intention, and they are not, at least as of this time and moment in this place that we are aware, are going to be providing any victim services, any law enforcement support, any community awareness and education programs. They see this as a cash cow, as does MAD, as does LRS Systems. And you're going to get all of that information as well to look at that. All these people out there running these bogus programs see it nothing more than a cash cow. We see it differently, and we're extremely passionate about what we do. Our victims are the most courageous and wonderful people you've ever had the opportunity to meet. And they participate in these victim impact panel programs because they believe in their heart that what they have to say and show to these offenders is hopefully going to resonate the next time these people have to make a choice about whether they're going to drive under the influence. They also know that participating in this program, due to the funding that's brought in by this program, is going to be able to help other victims, because many of them have been helped as well through these various services. One of the other things that we found very important in terms of the things that we provide and help as far as supporting law enforcement, we provide specialized training to law enforcement. We help with the DRE training, with the FST training, with the checkpoints. And since this has happened, we've had to deny 2 Metro officers specialized training that was being offered in North Las Vegas, specialized reconstruction training. Now, do you know how, that is critical. We need to be able to make sure that our officers, our drug recognition officers, our drug recognition experts, have the ability to have that specialized training. Think about what happened Thursday morning. I can tell you, we are so grateful that the people who were out there doing that reconstruction, putting all of that information together, had the opportunity to have that training. Because it's absolutely critical in terms of putting together the reports so that we can have a successful prosecution of this individual. When we returned from Oakland, we went and we attended the courtrooms of Susan Bachman and Conrad Hafen. There were 5 of us in the courtroom of Susan Bachman. And what we saw was extremely disturbing. What was happening was that a marshal was at his podium. Once the offender was told what they had to do, the offender then went to the podium, and the marshal was giving that offender a pamphlet. But it was only the pamphlet for New Beginnings. The StopDUI referral form was not being given out. We watched this for a period of time, and one of the gentlemen that was with us went up to the marshal and said, "Why are you not giving out the StopDUI referral forms?" Well, in the next few minutes, the marshal walked over to the clerk, picked up our form, and brought it over to his desk. Now the scenario changes. A representative from LRS Systems, that's Legal Rehab Services, was there, and when the offender would come up to the marshal's desk, the marshal would give the StopDUI referral form and the New Beginnings form to this representative of LRS. We watched this happen time after time after time. One of the other representatives that was with us went out into the hallway to see what was happening, because the representative from LRS was taking the offender out in the hallway. And what was happening out in that hallway was that the representative from LRS was telling the offender, "This is the program," meaning the New Beginnings, "this is the program you need to go to, because this one, we don't use this one anymore." We brought this to the attention of Judge Susan Bachman, and she told us that she was going to handle it and she was going to take care of it. Well, it wasn't handled, and it was not taken care of. It continued, which prompted a letter to Judge Bachman from myself on behalf of StopDUI. And in that letter, I explained to her our concerns. And one of the things that I pointed out in that letter was that we found it very curious and very disturbing in terms of what was going on between the marshal, LR Systems, and the defendants. And I questioned that. I said, what is the purpose of this triangle? What is somebody supposed to take from that? She was offended. She was offended that I asked that question. And she made that very clear the next day in the courtroom. And she went on to tell me, because of that letter, she would no longer be referring DUI offenders to StopDUI, which was really no big loss because she wasn't doing it in the first place. But the whole point was, she was actually going to hold our Victim Impact Panel program, our life-saving program that provides all the services that I just explained to you before. She was going to hold that program hostage until her marshal received a written letter of apology from me. Well, I tell you, the last time I was down there at the RJC and I saw that red, white, and blue American flag, yeah, we are still America. And I could not believe that a citizen of this country, of the state of Nevada, could not question a judicial situation of concern without having a program held in hostage. So these are the things that have happened. This is what has transpired. We asked, how do these people get into the courts? How are their programs acceptable? No one seems to know. The judges don't know. We had a meeting with the Chief Judge, Karen Bennett. They said they had told us that Karen Bennett, the Chief Judge, is the one who decides this. She denied that. She said she had no knowledge of it. Nobody knows. This is incredulous to us. How can you have programs in your court? How can you allow offenders to go to programs without doing some research to find out if they're credible, number one, and if what they're providing and what they're presenting is actually having an impact on the people who are in that class?
Sandy, is there room for 2 programs? Is it possible that the courts could offer multiple programs to these offenders, or is it just one and that's it?
They can certainly offer multiple programs, but we're going to tell you what's actually required for you to be a victim impact panel, and that's the problem. They're not. They are not providing what has been recommended by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and what common sense would tell you would constitute a victim impact panel.
So even if these judges wanted to offer New Beginnings, they could offer StopDUI panel information as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And which they've done, we've done this for years and years. Now, we also found out that Judge Cedric Kearns over in Las Vegas Municipal Court is using New Beginnings exclusively. He now will not even send any of those offenders to StopDUI. And we know the reason why. This was a personal vendetta against our organization, because about 5 years ago, we held his feet to the fire when we found out that he was violating his own judicial order by allowing those who were arrested for DUI in the city of Las Vegas, according to the judicial order, had to be held for 12 hours. He was letting some of these people out long before, even before an officer had the arrest report completed. And this was brought to his attention, which eventually, and it was very ugly, I will tell you that. The judges' meeting was not pleasant. And eventually this evolved into creating a new statute, a statute for the entire state of Nevada, which Senator Menendo was responsible for, that now requires every jurisdiction in this state to hold a DUI offender, one who is brought in on DUI alcohol. They must remain incarcerated until they can blow below .04. If you're brought in on DUI drugs, you must remain in custody for 12 hours. So that has been ongoing. We understand that. But we cannot understand why this judge would actually go to these lengths to eliminate the StopDUI program from his court. I sent a letter to him last week. We sent it certified. It was received on Monday. This is the letter. The letter is in the media package. You can read it. I've still not received a response. I checked our mail at the office this morning. There still was not a response. And basically, what we're asking, where did I find this? This is what we've asked this judge. The following StopDUI Victim Impact Panel speakers respectfully request to meet with you as a group to discuss this matter at your earliest convenience. These victims are very troubled by this and would appreciate an opportunity to hear firsthand, if in fact true, why their program has been excluded. I've shared with these victims that even though you and I have had some differences, you are a reasonable person who would not want to intentionally add to their emotional distress. And I've listed all of these 15 victims' names who want to meet with this judge. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. Unfortunately, no response as yet.
And when was that letter?
It was received this Monday morning.
Okay. So is New Beginnings not meeting recommendations or requirements to be in court?
In our opinion, they are not. And you're going to hear those recommendations from Senator Menendez because he was critical in helping us craft the language for the current statute that's on the books now that explains what a victim impact panel is and
So
what it does.
So after you have this meeting with the judge, like bottom line, what has to happen to say to StopDUI?
What has to happen is that they need to take a very close and clear look at what is happening with New Beginnings because they should no longer be allowed to put on what they call a victim impact panel, which it is not. And we have people here that attended and they're going to give you their eyewitness accounts of that. Most recent, a few months ago, our fees were tripled at the library where we put our program on, and so we've had to raise our fee from $50 to $75. Well, it was interesting because New Beginnings copied so much off of our website, and they were doing the same thing. Then we find out last week, now they've reduced their fee to $65. So, which is incredulous as well. We just don't believe you run a blue light special on victim stories. And we are not going to be subjecting our victims to that. I can tell you that right now. One of the reasons that we were given by judges as to why they were referring these people to New Beginnings, because they put the program on 4 times a week. Three days of that week is in the English version, and the 4th day is in the Spanish version. And they felt that because it was offered so many times, it would be easier for the offenders to attend, it would help reduce their caseload, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And basically what they're doing is they're looking at quantity over quality. And now, I would like to bring up, where's Nancy? Where'd she go? Nancy Greiner, would you come up, please? Nancy is one of our victim speakers, and she was the first to attend or to sit in on that New Beginnings. Come up here, Nancy. And if you would just share with everyone what your experience was and how you actually ended up going over there.
Sandy, do you mind staying closer?
Oh.
I don't have her mic'd up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I was critically injured by a DUI driver about 6 years ago. I was trying to look for a way to maybe give back and help other victims of DUI accidents. So I had called MAD, and all they seemed to want was my money and a donation. So instead of looking at a national organization, I looked closer at what we had locally. The 2 that I found on the website were StopDUI and New Beginnings. So I called each one and made appointments with their respective company heads, Sandy Heverly with StopDUI and Gail Anderson with New